For decades, your entire financial life has been boiled down to just one single three-digit number. That number decides what you can buy, where you can live, and honestly, what your future looks like. But what if that whole system is, well, incomplete? A new kind of credit code is being written right now, powered by AI, and it's about to completely rewrite the rules of the game. Okay, to really get this, let's talk about a real person who applied for a loan about 5 years ago. Now, based on the standard rulebook, any traditional bank would have taken one look at their application and said, nope, absolutely not, way too risky. And this is where things get really interesting. See, the bank just saw the numbers on a page, a FICO score in the mid-600s, a $60,000 income, and a pretty short credit history. But the AI model, it saw a whole different person. It saw a law degree from a great university, a stable government job as a lawyer, and this is the key. It saw that this person used credit way, way less than other people with a similar profile.
And that deeper look? It led to a wildly different conclusion. The old model predicted a 32% chance this person would default on their loan. The AI model? Just a 2% chance. I mean, that's not just a small tweak. That is the difference between an immediate rejection and a really attractive loan offer.
So, who was right? Well, you guessed it, the AI was dead on. The borrower was a perfect customer. They made every single payment on time for 21 months and then paid the whole loan off ahead of schedule. So the big question is, how did the AI see a future that the old system was completely blind to? Let's crack open the code. All right, so the first piece of this puzzle is a concept they call separation. And really, at its heart, it's just about getting a much, much clearer picture of who's a good risk and who isn't. The best way to think about it is like this. Imagine you're looking at a blurry old TV picture of all your loan applicants. That's the old way. Separation is like upgrading to a crystal clear 4K high-definition screen. All of a sudden, you can see the details that actually matter. So here's what that actually looks like when you put it to work. In both models here, borrowers are ranked from the safest on the left to the riskiest on the right. The gray dots are people who paid their loan back, and the red dots are the ones who defaulted. Now, look at the traditional model. The red dots are all over the place. It's a mess. But the AI model? It neatly stacks almost all the defaults at the far right high-risk end. It makes it super easy to just draw a line and avoid most of them. So what does this actually mean for the business, for the bottom line? Well, let's say a lender approves the top half of everyone who applies. Using that fuzzy traditional model, they'd end up with a 9% default rate. But with the AI's much sharper ranking, that default rate drops all the way to 5%. That's almost half the losses for the exact same number of loans. That is a huge deal. But here is where it gets even more powerful. Most lenders have a target for how much risk they're willing to take on. To hit a 7.5% default rate, the old model forces them to be super conservative and approve only 27% of applicants. But with the AI's high-def view of risk, they can approve 67% of people, more than double, while keeping the exact same level of risk. This is a massive expansion of who can get access to credit. Okay, so being more accurate is huge, but it's only one part of the equation. This brings us to the next piece of the code, automation. Because in today's financial world, making an instant decision is a complete game changer. I mean, think about this. Today, a staggering 90% of loans that use this AI tech are fully automated, from the second you hit submit to the moment the money is in your bank account. Zero humans involved. And this isn't brand new. It's the result of work that started way back in 2016. And why is that so important? Well, because speed wins, right? A borrower who gets an instant automated approval is 3 times more likely to actually take the loan compared to someone who has to sit around and wait for a manual review. In a crowded market, that difference is everything. All right, so the model is smart and it's fast. But what happens when the whole world gets turned upside down? I'm talking about a major economic storm. That brings us to our third and maybe the most critical secret in the code, calibration. So if separation is about being able to tell which individual trees are healthy, calibration is about correctly predicting how the entire forest will fare during a drought. It's about making sure your model's predictions for the big picture actually match up with what's happening in the real world, especially when that world is changing fast. And wow, did things change. Between 2021 and 2022, a huge storm hit the credit industry. Delinquencies went through the roof. We're talking up 50% for personal loans, 40% for auto loans, and a jaw-dropping 70% for credit cards. The problem was, a lot of standard machine learning models were just slow to react. They were looking at all this old data from stable times and couldn't grasp that the world had fundamentally changed. The result? It took them 9 full quarters, that's over 2 years, to finally catch up. That's a lot of time and a lot of unexpected losses.
But this newer approach, it's a whole different story. They ran simulations, basically going back in time to see how the model would have performed. And the results are pretty amazing. It would have started adjusting almost right away, wiping out most of the extra losses and getting fully back on track in just 3 quarters.
So what was the secret sauce? It sounds kind of nerdy, but it's brilliant. They gave the model what's called time as a feature. All that really means is they told the AI, hey, what happened yesterday is way more important than what happened 5 years ago. This lets it spot big economic shifts as they're happening, not years after the fact. Okay, so there you have it. The code is separation to see clearly, automation to move fast, and calibration to stay stable even in a storm. Now, let's look at how this is being used to completely reshape consumer credit. Yeah, this isn't just about one kind of loan anymore. They're taking this same AI playbook and rolling it out across a whole bunch of other financial products, auto loans, home equity lines of credit, you name it. And the cool part is, since the technology is already proven, it's just a matter of feeding it new data and watching it get smarter and more accurate over time. But the really exciting part, the next frontier, is taking this beyond just getting a loan. It's about personalizing the entire experience, especially for people who might be struggling. Imagine an AI that can tell the difference between someone who just lost their job and genuinely needs help and someone maybe trying to game the system. You could then offer the right kind of support, a text, a call, maybe financial counseling, to the exact right person at the exact right time. That could change so many outcomes for the better. And that brings us all the way back to where we started, with that one borrower. By cracking this credit code, we're not just building a better system for lenders, we're moving toward a world where your access to credit isn't just based on some outdated 3-digit number from your past. It's based on a real, high-definition understanding of who you are and what you're capable of. It's a future that's being written in a much, much smarter code.